What we talking about, man?
What is a professional winner?
Obviously, right? That's the name of the podcast show.
It's the name of that. It's the name of the show. It's the name of that little cup right there. It's blurred out a little bit, but that's a W probably at the end of this. I mean, it's pretty wild because what is a professional winner, man?
Yeah, we're gonna have to dissect this down slowly.
Okay.
It's not a simple answer. There's levels to it. But let me give you some backdrop of why I came up with that term, why I called myself the professional winner. And just a disclaimer, that term is not just for me. I think that we're all professional winners. It has nothing to do with, your standard, of living, where you at in your life, how much followers you have. It's more of just a term to define people and that we're all winners. And that, this definition of, winning has to lead to dollars or how big your house is, how nice your car is, I think it's false. So we're just trying to change the narrative. And, for a while, like you guys, a lot of my friends, a lot of my family say, John, you're an entrepreneur. You're so great at this. You have 5 businesses. You have group homes. You have a juvenile, all this thing. We talk about Bobby Love, the redemption of Bobby Love. How did you create that? How did you get into the Hollywood scene? And, I try to think about my life and, who I am and what I wanted to be defined as. And I literally got rid of this whole term entrepreneur. Growing up, even in college, right? We always say, we entrepreneurs. And back then it was always something to aspire to. Every time I heard of the term entrepreneur, I think of somebody who was successful, somebody who already was doing big things, one of those coders in Silicon Valley, those was entrepreneurs, going against the standard of education and sitting at a desk and forcing me to go into the workforce. I was like, nah, that's not going to be what I am. I'm here to do that because I need to take care of my family and I want to have some type of stability if my business goals don't work out. But at the same time, I'm an entrepreneur. And as I got more into the business world and I started to meet more people, I started to make more connections, it's like everybody's an entrepreneur. We took the power away from that word. There's so many people now that, who don't have a job, who are not taking step one, who's not going out there into the workforce and trying to really create something, who really don't believe in their ideas, and to try to make themselves feel better, they just say, I'm an entrepreneur.
Do me a favor, let's slow down a little bit. You said this thing about what? Step one, taking step one, you said that?
Okay.
What is taking step one?
Okay, so thank you. Let's go into it, right? So the first part of being a professional winner is taking step one. And it's like a cliche, man. It's something that's normal. It's not it's basically what it is. Taking step one. You have an idea. You have a goal. You have a vision, right? Even when we was creating this podcast, we were saying, what are we going to do? What is lighting going to be like? Oh my God, we don't understand audio. We have some resources, but we don't know how are we going to set this up? Should it be gold? Should it be black? Should I be supporting brands? Should I be supporting sponsors? And I said, bro, put the camera on me and let's just do it. Whatever happens, happens. I look at some of my favorite podcasts. I look at the Joe Budden podcast. I look at Drink Champs. I look at Grant Cardone podcast. When I look at episode 1, I was like, boy, what were they doing? Now they're episode 400, and it's beautiful. It's amazing. But they took step 1. It don't matter what happened on episode 1. Look at where they're at now. Look at the deals they have now. Look at how their voice matter and how they shape who they are as a brand and as people. And that's what taking step 1 is. We may not know what the future holds. We may not really have an idea or a concept of what we're doing. But you can talk about it all day. Talk. Do it. And I know I'm making it sound easy and I don't want to be insensitive or anything like that because it does. It's a lot of work believing in yourself. And I think social media, Facebook, Instagram, and all of these sites that we use have created this false perception. All of us are traveling the world. All of us are living these amazing lives, taking these high quality photos. And we give you this sense of security, this sense of pride, this sense of comfortability that we are these amazing people. We are these wonderful people. But there's a lot of us with mental health issues. There's a lot of us with a lot of insecurities. There's a lot of us who just want to start an LLC and say, I have a business, which if you're really in the business world, an LLC is like step 0. That does not mean you really have a business and that you're creating, a substantial brand and you're creating finance and you're employing people, right? And I don't want to knock that. That is part of step 1. Create the LLC. believe in yourself. Go into the world and get your feet wet. And that's more of what one of the parts of taking step one is.
Getting your feet wet. That's taking step one, guys.
Yeah.
Take the little first dip, and just start believing in yourself.
And
however, there's one thing though.
Hit me.
A lot of people are different, It takes a lot to start believing in yourself. A lot of people don't have the same support system. A lot of people, you have 3 kids. A lot of people don't have to take care of 3 kids in order to get food on the table for them. Some people are just like a 20-year-old just in their room. I want to do this. I want to do that. How do you tell them believe in this? How do you give them that support, that motivation?
Well, first of all, they need to understand that failure is critical.
Okay.
Why do most people not take step one? They're afraid to fail. They're afraid of the opinion of their mom. They let dad down. They were supposed to be a doctor. They were supposed to be this. And they think that I'm not going to jump into this. I'm not going to get this started because what if I fail? What if this person is critical of this? But that's part of the journey. That is part of step one. You have to fail. Let's bring it back. We talked about what? Con Pharaoh. We was on GoDaddy. We was buying stuff. We was looking at each other in the library like, yeah, we about to have the biggest clothing brand on college campus. We did it. And 2 months later, we was like, bro, what the heck we was doing? Did that stop me 10 years later? Hold on, that's crazy.
Yo, that's true though. 10 years.
I'm 27, but 10 years later, bro.
Wow. That's insane.
You're doing your content creation, successful photography business, beautiful Pacific Studios right across the street from Barclays. That did not stop you from believing in who you are. And after that, you was very successful in the clothing industry for a while. But COVID made you fall back a little bit on that because of shipping and the fact that you're not Amazon, which is understandable.
But you know what?
you can't deliver as fast as that.
Yeah, no. But it did lead me into photography because I have to take all my own pictures of all these models in the clothing. So
exactly,
I definitely failed, but I guess I did go somewhere else. So.
And connections, right?
Yeah.
When I called you just did a photography shoot for NBC. Al Roker, Bobby Love, you was a part of this process with me, right?
That was wild, by the way. I was just like,
yeah, right. Like we was a part of that. So it's like, but we failed. But did that deter you from going to other things? No. When I started to want to do some clothing for my personal brand, for the Professional Winner Show, you was able to give me all the feedback I needed. You was able to steer me in the right direction. You was able to save me funds because you said, this is all the things I did that you shouldn't do, right? You wouldn't have been able to tell me that and help your brother if failure wasn't critical, right? When I went and created LLC, EIN for my companies and actually built the structure, operational agreements and all these things, I knew a lot of those things because of what we did with Conferro. Even though it wasn't a successful business, it gave me and you certain type of badges, a certain type of knowledge into this world, right? We understood our weaknesses. We understood our strengths. We understood what not to do. And once people understand that, it will start to build that confidence, So failure is critical, and people also have to understand that successful people do what unsuccessful people are afraid to do, right?
I like that.
Successful people are afraid to fail. Look at some of the most successful people, and you have to be able to, deteriorate. What am I talking about? You have to be able to shift focuses. You have to be able to expand.
Yeah.
Look at some of the most successful people in the world, right? Amazon was just a bookstore, right? It's supposed to be for books. Pretty sure Jeff Bezos at that moment didn't think he was going to take over the whole world and change how we transport packages and change the delivery system of how fast and how we can receive the items that we want, right?
Exactly.
So we have to understand these things that, you have to be able to fail. You have to be able to learn from those mistakes, and you have to be able to outsource and constantly keep growing your businesses. But you can't do none of those things I talk about unless you do what first? Take step one.